Hey, how's it going? My name is Coach Grant Chasson, and last week I had the pleasure of speaking to the QB Lifestyle Camp in New Orleans, Louisiana. And my good friend James Tabbery invited me over to talk about mindset, mental performance for quarterbacks and athletes in general at a young age. So after the camp, James agreed to come back on the show and hang out and talk some ball and QB lifestyle, rebranding his business and rebranding his entire systemized approach to running a business and training quarterbacks. So we sat down and talked about the camp. We talked about the QB lifestyle in general and got a lot of good nuggets in here. So enjoy. So look, a lot's changed since we talked a year ago. The rebranding from Jet Academy to QB Lifestyle with Coach D. Will. So just talk me through that whole process, what led to it, and how it's been going.
So it was the Jet Academy at first, obviously, and Damien, who's been living in Dallas, training Dak Prescott. So kind of ever since he stopped playing college football, he's been training Dak and living in Dallas, and he's been training guys out there ever since. Well, he reached out to me actually around this time last summer. And I was pretty hesitant of jumping on board because I was just thinking a little bit selfishly, like I'm trying to do my own thing and stuff like that. But also being new to the industry, like I didn't realize like it's hard to do this by yourself, and it takes a village. It truly does. Especially if the end goal is to train, as many NFL guys as I possibly can and be a consultant for an NFL team. That's my main goal. But it's almost theoretically impossible to do that by yourself. So jumped on board with Damien. I've been knowing Damien since I was 7 years old. We played football, baseball, basketball together. His family is like my family. I know all of his brothers, his mom. So I mean, it wasn't hard to jump on board, as in like to trust him, but it was just hard to like kind of like just get out of my own way and get out of my comfort zone and to join a team and make this thing as big as we possibly can. So like I said, it takes a village, man. I'm learning a lot from him. He's learning some stuff from me. I'm learning a lot about the business side of this networking, and because I thought, just at the end of the day, you're training guys and that's it. There's so much more that goes into it. But the more avenues I have for myself and for my guys, the better, and we've partnered with a few companies and stuff that we haven't released yet. So he's put so much in my basket that I've just been nothing but grateful for the last year. Damien's a brother to me. He's family, and it's been a great year. It really has.
Awesome. I mean, even since the first time you and I talked and spoke, just talking mechanics and ball, I remember we were hanging out. It was probably a year ago at the
Hmm.
Pro Combine camp down here in
Yep.
Thibodeau, and I remember you just had so much emphasis on like the physiology of the quarterback, like connecting the mind to the body, just to where you trust where the ball needs to go, and your body just does the rest of the work through constant
Absolutely.
repetition. So it's pretty cool that y'all see eye to eye in that whole framework, so that you
Yep.
could build it together the right way. Now, so let's fast forward to you've rebranded, you're training quarterbacks, QB lifestyle, you're grinding. These guys are getting after it. I see the pictures post every day in New Orleans. I mean, it's just nonstop. So, what brought you to the camp setting, and what was your thoughts on hosting your first camp in New Orleans in the QB lifestyle era?
So the camp setting, we just wanted to take a different avenue and approach of having a quarterback camp. I know most people, it's kind of just like, hey, let's just do a few drills, do some one-on-one half line, like call it a day. What me and Damien like really try to focus on is the development and building like the true foundation so that guys have something to fall back on, right? So at
Hmm.
the end of the day, whether you're a 20-year vet or you're just beginning, like you're always going to fall back on your foundation, right? And so like that's what we just keep on trying to preach and put out there. And that's why we made that camp that way, is to where it's full development. You're understanding your foundation. You can always fall back onto it, right? Like if you have a bad week of practice, you have a bad game, go back, look at the film. Okay, I'm doing this, and this wrong. I can go back to my training and small fundamental work, and then I'm making my self corrections, right? So obviously, throughout the season, a lot of cues are just up and down, up and down. There's no consistency, right? And so the last thing we want our guys to do is to play the up and down and plateau game, right? So we want
Mhm.
to gradually just keep on climbing and getting better and better and stronger and confident throughout the season. But that always falls back onto your training, your foundation, your basic mechanics, you know. So that's what we wanted to provide during the camp. I thought we did a really good job of that. I was pretty stressed out. I didn't realize, you know, how much it actually goes into being able to run a camp. There's so much more than just coming up with drills and small ideas, but you know, from you know, getting guys on board, we brought PTs in, we brought you in. You know, we were just trying to make it different to where guys want to come back and they want to be involved when they are finished football to be a part of this, and for the kids to just be able to want to come back each and every year and get better and better.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, what I liked about it too was you had a lot of guys who you trained personally out there, of course, but either way, it seemed like everybody who was up, because I came on day two, so it was 2-day camp. I came on day two, check it out, come speak, and it was like every time a rep happened, like y'all were calling out the kid by name. You were calling out him by name, telling him, "Hey, John, you know, this is what you missed. This is what you need to look for in that situation." So it just becomes personal. It just kind of
Yes,
develops like so much more respect to the coach, to the player when it becomes that setting, you know. And I
absolutely.
thought you did a really good job. I mean, I would never have known you were stressed out because when I got there, you were just coaching ball. I mean, because that's the cool part. Like the easy part is just coaching ball. The hard
Right,
part is the
right, right.
90.
Yeah, once I
Yeah,
stepped on the field, it was like you're breathing, you know, like you're not even
yeah,
thinking about anything. Everything's just rolling. It was honestly just the whole setup of everything, getting the schedule right, making sure everything's going to run smooth. I'm a very A1 type personality guy, very OCD. So I'm very like, you know, to the book on trying to be organized. That's just who I am. So I tend to stress myself out sometimes on trying to make everything perfect instead of just trusting God and throwing it in his hands and, you know, just letting it run its course. But no,
100%.
it was great. It really was. And like you said, like with the personal thing, you know, we don't want to make it to where like obviously we want this thing to grow, but we
Hmm.
also want it to still be personable, right? And
Of
like
course.
no offense to the big camps out there and stuff that have, you know, 1,000, 1,500 kids, like you want a kid to understand every single rep. There's a purpose,
Hmm.
there's a why to every single throw. So if you're not having some type of criticism on each rep, then like the kid's not getting enough out of it, right? And it's a pretty penny as well, right? Like you're paying for what you get as well. So
Hmm.
that's what provide. We try to provide the most is just valuable information, right? True development, getting guys to understand, having a purpose behind each single throw, and then what's my solution? What's my why? You know, like oh, the ball was bad. Why was it bad? And so that kids can go home, go to practice, and have the self corrections and be able to train and understand their own body, right? The best guys in the game that are level headed and don't become a snowball effect are the guys that understand their body, what they did wrong exactly on the throw, and it's just fast mental adjustment.
Yeah, no, you said it perfect. I mean, the cool thing about playing quarterback is if you've got your touch and you've got your throw down to where you know you can go have a good session and say, okay, I'm fine, I'm spinning it well, I'm doing well, it's accurate, it's coming out the way I want it to. If you're not spinning it well after the fact, you've established like that foundation. There's always a reason for it. Like that, like what's going on with your rotation? What's going on with your release? What's going on? Is the ball a little bit different today? I mean, you know, every little detail you can kind of run through your self-correct system and say, okay, what's the environment? What's the change going on right now? Why am I not getting this, you know, that rotation on it? And, you know, I think that's where these guys set themselves apart because you can't be out there at practice every day. You
Right.
can't go to, you know, Rummel and Holy Cross and Edie White and, you know, Jesuit and make sure that you're coaching these guys up on every single throw. They have to be able to be there and handle it themselves. So
Absolutely.
that's a huge part. And I hope that people realize the value in the self-correct system and how that's how it's supposed to be, you know? So it was
Absolutely.
perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Yeah,
Yeah, man.
so we're hoping, you know, we talked after, reevaluated, criticized
Mhm.
ourselves on, you know, how can we continue to make this thing better. I think next year we're going to try to do like a retreat
Mm,
have like 20 to 40 guys, and stay overnight, like break down their mechanics on film, watch it at night so that going into that next day, they already have an idea of like what I need to be on top of today. What do I need to focus on each rep? Go through my checkbox list, boom, execute, let it happen.
mhm.
So it's just all about, bettering ourselves, bettering the kids, and just true developmental work. That's
Yep.
what football comes down to, man. Everybody tries to reinvent the wheel.
No,
It hasn't changed since 1940,
no,
some
it's
mechanical stuff here and there, but besides that, like boring is good, and I try to preach that to my guys, man. Don't
mhm.
just think that all these Instagram videos are good work, like stay with the boring foundational
Yeah.
stuff, and that's what you thrive off of.
Yeah. Shout out to Camper. I think it was Cooper. He asked me, great question, by the way. I hope he's watching. If not, we need to send this to him. He did a great job. He said, what's the common trait of the athletes who are, struggling in the mental game or having those setbacks? But then he said, what's the common trait of the ones who get it, who are seeing the success and going from a roller coaster to a train? And you said it. It was I told him they're okay with boring. Like they're okay with being bored
Yep.
and doing the same thing over and over again because they
Yep.
know the payoff in the end. And that's the toughest part for young quarterbacks is, if you're a first year starter, you're trying to earn that starting spot. You don't know, you don't have the proof yet. But you and I, we had it. Like, when I started my junior year in high school, I knew that all the work I'd put in for the 4 years prior, it paid off because you get it. And then it's
Right.
like, okay, it reaffirms the process. So yeah, the ones who stay bored, who can accept boredom and do the same thing over again, it just becomes inevitable, right?
No doubt. Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right. So I've been waiting to pick your brain on this one for a while now. So let's draw up a scenario. Okay. So when you train your NFL guys, we're going to come back to the same question, but you're going to say what you're looking for in the draft to NFL at that point. Okay. So, but we're going to backtrack it now. We're going to stick with the college setting. So you are a college quarterback coach, offensive coordinator. Doesn't matter the level. It's college, right? But we'll just say for purpose sake, it's Division One, whatever. And you get the head coach to tell you, "Hey, Coach Tab, we are taking a quarterback this year, and you got to recruit 10 guys, and we're going to offer one out of those 10 guys." So you're going to get the tape from 100 of them, right? You're going to get all the tape from Louisiana, Mississippi, Texas, Arkansas, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, everybody. So when you put on the tape that you can physically see while you're watching their film, what are the top three traits that you want to see in their game on the film? And then what are the top three traits that you want to hear that they are mentality wise when you call up their head coach at their high school to see, hey, how's Grant off the field in the classroom, all that stuff?
So I'd say on the field, obviously everything down low, accuracy wise, starts with our feet, right? Does their eyes and feet match each other, right? When we're going through progressions, right? A lot of guys just let their eyes wander, but their lower half isn't matching the upper body, right? So can they get through a progression with good balance, good tempo, stay in rhythm, still feel confident and comfortable back there? That'd be the first thing. The second thing would be, does the ball jump out of their hands, right? So at each level, the windows get shorter and quicker when they open to close, right? So does the ball jump out of his hands? And then lastly, I would say, how is his body language, right? I'm not going to want to watch the game where you excel at your best, right? I want to see when you're down 21-7, like what does your body language look like? What does your confidence look like on the field, And you can see that in a lot of quarterbacks, right? They play the up and down game, but the guys that excel at this position are the guys that play at even kill, right? So if you look at Drew Brees, you look at Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, like there's so many guys out there that you can mimic, but it's always just flat even kill. You throw a touchdown, I did my job. I threw a pick, hey, it's on me. We're coming right back, because you're going to have a lot more average to bad moments than you are great moments, right? The great moments is what we live for, but we have to learn how to battle and get through the subpar moments to the bad moments. It's just being even kill, learning how to reset your brain, right? You have to, because this game is 90% mental. It really has no besides the ball jumping out of your hands, it really doesn't have a lot of physical capabilities behind it, right? So like I always love to use Drew as a prime example. Drew was shorter than me. I'm 6 foot even. Drew was like 5'11" and 3/4, right? You can't see regardless unless you're 6'6". But but he couldn't throw the ball past 45 yards, right? But that did not matter to him because he knew where he was going with the ball, right? He knew what the coverage recognition was, how to eliminate pre-snap to post-snap reads. The game is won in the brain. It's not won with your arm and legs, right? You can only run so much, until the game starts catching up to you, right? You can only start throwing as hard as you can until you start missing balls, and then now we're throwing picks, right? So the game is won up top, and obviously that comes with preparation of like your foundation, like we talked about, to film, to be an even kill in the game, to when stuff goes bad, to not let it be a snowball effect and have that reset button, right? You have to be on top of your mental game. For when it comes to off of the field, three things I would say. Number one, is he disciplined? What type of kid is he? Does he show up early, right? Is he the last one to leave? I want to see, the pure work ethic and his discipline. The consistency, right? Does he come in every single day and do that, right? Nobody loves the guy that gives effort just on the last rep. I can't stand those guys. So is he all in for every single rep? Is he showing up early? And then most importantly, what type of human being is he? Right. So we're always the face of the program. We got to understand how to lead guys, right? Everybody on the team comes from different backgrounds, different cultures. Can he talk to these guys this way? Can he talk to this guy that way? Right. Everybody
Mhm.
responds different. Right. So if you're a good human being, you can understand how to communicate with people on and off the field. That makes you a really good quarterback when it comes to being vocal and getting guys to be able to want to follow you. And then lastly, your grades. Your grades have so much emphasis on what type of QB you are. And a lot of people don't think of it like that too. And if you go back, there was a statistic that Jack Marucci, he's always inventing and doing research and stuff. But he told me one time in person, he was like, if you go back in the last, 15, 20 years and you look at the national champions of college football, go look at their GPA as a team, right? And I never thought of this either, but like if you can handle your business in the classroom, then it's easy to handle your business on the field, right? It's just
Well,
being disciplined all throughout the
mhm,
day and everything that you do, because we're not here just to play football. We're here to get an education as well. So we have to handle our business in the classroom. But and I kind of went back to my own setting when I won a conference championship at Arkansas
mhm,
State. We set the record for the Sun Belt for I think it was a team GPA of like 3.1 or 3.2,
mhm.
which was like outstanding, right? And
Yes.
he pulled up LSU's for when they won the national championship with Joe Burrows. They had like a 2.9 or a 3.0 as a team GPA. So yeah, and I never really thought about that, but like if you can
Mhm.
handle your business outside of the football field, then it's easy to handle business on the field because that's what you truly love, right? We're at the end of the day, yes, we're all there to play football and that's our main goal, right? But at the same time, like, how are you approaching the things that you don't want to do 100% all the time, And it's just theoretical. And not a lot of people like enjoy school. But if you can stay disciplined in the classroom, at home, on the street, in public, to bringing that stuff into the field house, then that's simple. Then everybody's
Easy.
on the same mindset, same mission.
Mhm. I love, I think it was Marshall Faulk who's in like this special room of the millions of players that have played football. Like he's in the room of like 10 guys that have like MVP, Super Bowl MVP, rushing leader, national champ, like all the things. And um I think it's his quote. I hope I'm not, robbing somebody of this, but he said, show me how you do one thing and I'll learn how you do everything. Like it's you can't just turn on focus and turn on
Right.
discipline on the football field. It's got to be
Correct.
your whole life and your standard.
Absolutely.
You'll love this. When I went to California for this other quarterback camp for Coach Steve with Armed and Dangerous, day two he brought in Noel Mazzoni, Hall of Fame coach. I mean, does it all. So he starts telling a story about a quarterback that he went down to watch him, and the first thing he did, he said, "Yeah, his throwing motion's a little off, but I like him at tight end. He's a decent athlete. He can move." So a few months later, kept watching him, and then you realize, oh man, this kid can play quarterback just because of his mentality and just because of his will to win and his competitive nature and just every single detail that he just could not just obsessed over as a quarterback. And lo and behold, it was Phillip Rivers. So
Oh, man.
Phillip Rivers, and then so he said we brought him to NC State. He said I stressed every day coaching Phillip Rivers because I knew that I had to be on my game to answer every one of his questions and to pick for when he would pick my brain to learn the concepts and learn everything he did. He questioned everything, but not be like, why are we doing this? That's not going to work. But like, how can I learn how to be a coach on the field? And he said, you just can't teach that. It became a lifestyle, which is number one, why I love your brand QB lifestyle. Like you need to get Coach Mazzoni out there because he says the quarterback to be a quarterback and be successful, it's not a habit or routines that you do. It becomes a complete lifestyle. So
Yep.
it's on brand with you. So we got to make that happen somehow. And
Absolutely.
I mean, it's incredible. So yeah, you said it perfectly. And you kind of meshed it. I mean, when you said discipline and body language, I think it does kind of mesh with your leadership and how you act on
Right.
the field. So I'm glad you brought up your playing taste because I knew I was going to bring it up. I hope I like to brag on you all the time because I know you won't do it. But I mean, you got multiple records. You've done it all. I mean, you were just the guy at McNeese, Division I football. So let's go back in your shoes in your time. You're at McNeese, you're down 21-7. And what is the first thought or first thing you're telling yourself and then doing on the sideline to get your team ready to go?
So I would never say it obviously out loud. I'm a very humble guy, I'd like to say. But I like kind of like you brought up at the camp, like when Jordan Love had said, I'm the best on the field. I'm the best on the field. Like that's something that I always took pride of, right? And I just knew that no matter who I was playing, like I out trained that guy that's their quarterback, right? Or just some
Mm-hmm.
type of mental reset of like, dude, like you've outworked everybody out here. Like fall back onto your training. Like you were made for this. You were built for this. Like
That's
it doesn't
perfect self
matter
talk.
what happens. Yeah,
It's perfect.
exactly.
It's perfect. It's not cocky. It's
Right.
confident, and you've got the
Yeah.
proof to back it because you've done it. That's how self talk should sound, right there. All right, go
Absolutely,
ahead.
right, but it also and that shows, like, towards body language, right? Like,
Hmm.
I have a few guys that can spin it really well, and I always tell them, like, "I just can't stand the way that you, like, walk or approach a rep." Like
Hmm.
you're just nonchalant. And that was one thing I always took pride of like every rep matters. This might be my last rep. I don't know. Right. So I would
Hmm.
always try to approach whether that was training, practice, writing a note in meetings, like, dude, like just do it all. Like leave no stone unturned. And once you build yourself into that mentality, when you get into those situations of when you're down 21-7, right? It's just built into you. Right. There's no constant negative thoughts because that's not who you are outside of this game, right? And 60 minutes does not define who you are, right? And there's a quote, I forgot who had said it, that I heard the other day too, and it makes perfect sense. When you're playing, let's just say basketball, for instance, right? One shot is what, maybe 2 seconds of the whole entire 60 minutes, right? So one shot doesn't define your 60
Hmm.
minutes of how you played in that game, right? And it's the same thing. If there's still time left on the clock, the fat lady hasn't sang yet. So like you still there. If there's a will, there's a way. And that was one thing I always tried to mimic myself on, is just having grit and having will no matter what. And there's guys that are looking at you, like all eyes are on you, whether you're winning or
Yeah.
you're losing. So like your mentality and what you're saying, self thought, and also what's coming out of your mouth matters to those guys. Because at the end of the day, they're willing to die and sacrifice themselves for you. You got to be willing to same and have that same moxie about the game, whether it's good or bad, for everybody else for the whole entire 60 minutes.
I mean, perfectly said. Obviously, quarterback ain't for everybody. Like
It's not.
you
It's not.
better get your mind right if you're gonna come out here
Right.
and say you want to be a quarterback. Who cares if how you can sling it, how you can throw it, and that was always coaching high school too. Like I'd have guys who said coach, I really want to play quarterback, this and that, and I knew like they probably were athletic and could probably sling it pretty good, and they had decent feet, but I just knew the personality type and just everything about their demeanor, it wouldn't fit. And I said, look, you're just better off staying a receiver. You're better off staying at DB or whatever. Cause I mean, this is a whole lifestyle. Like you have to be the
Yeah.
guy. You have
You
to
have
be
to.
in control, and you got to be able to talk to yourself that way too. So,
Right.
no, well said, coach. I mean, perfect. So, this has been awesome. I wanted to keep it efficient for you, keep our time on schedule, but definitely looking forward to the next one and continuing to keep up through the season. We already said last year we would do this more often. We both have a lot more time. I think this year, I say that I got 3 kids now, but I think we need to keep doing some recaps of some dominant performances and seeing some things,
Absolutely.
taking notes on Sundays, kind of seeing what we see and talking about it during the week. But I think that'd be really cool to do too, brother.
Absolutely, man. I'm all for it. You call me, I'm there, brother. With this quote here too, that
Yeah.
my trainer always preached, and I honestly I live and die by it. Um, Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. Everybody wants to
Mm,
go pro, but don't want to do everything it takes to get there. So, I mean, if you have that mindset going into every day, like I'm willing to die for this, like the old speech of how bad do you want to breathe?
yeah.
I mean, it all goes back to that, man. It is true, strictly mentality. At the end of the day, everybody can throw in college, everybody can run in college. Everybody brings something special to the table. At the end of the day, it's all mental, man. It is
Oof.
all mental.
I
It's
might go
mentality.
outside and throw after that one. I might go throw a few into the trampoline or something, man. I'm getting chills, man. Come on. I love it. I love it. Coach Tab, thank you so much, man. It's been awesome and can't wait to talk soon.
Always a pleasure, my brother. Thank you for having me, bud.
I do.
All right, bud.